Following that, we'll hear from LA City Fire Chief Kristen Crowley. Following that, we'll hear from LA County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney. After that, we'll hear from LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell, then Sheriff Robert Luna, and following that, we'll hear from LADWP General Manager Janice Quinones, as well as Superintendent Alberto Carvalho. The mayor will come back to the podium and open it up for questions. I'll call on questions from the left. And with that, Mayor Best.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I stand here today with incredible sympathy and concern about the devastation and the tragedy that our city and county are facing. And I definitely want to send my condolences to the families who lost loved ones, to the families and neighborhoods who lost property. This firestorm is the big one in magnitude. Hurricane force winds are usually accompanied by rainstorms, but these are hurricane force winds that are combined with extremely dry drought conditions. To provide context, at 10:20 a.m. yesterday, the Palisades fire was at 10 acres. 12 minutes later, it was at 200 acres. To those who fled their homes, especially those who have lost your homes, our hearts are breaking for you, and we stand with you. I know the world is looking at images of our city's devastation. I have seen the front lines of the Palisades fire, and it is staggering. I've been in constant contact with our fire commanders, with county, state, and federal officials. I took the fastest route back, which included being on a military plane, which facilitated our communications. So I was able to be on the phone the entire time of the flight. We are fighting for you and everyone in Los Angeles. Thank you to our first responders who waded into flames, pulled people from cars, and got them to safety no matter how dangerous. And thank you to everyone who heeded our warnings to evacuate. Tonight, more people may get evacuation orders, and if they do, please leave immediately. If you have an evacuation warning, get ready to go. Protect yourself and each other, and support our firefighters on the front lines. Our strategy included preparations and pre-deployment, and it now includes fire crews from around the state and from our federal partners. We are also adapting in real time. These winds continue to blow. So let me be clear. I am making sure that we leave no resource untapped. Firefighters are now on scene from across the state and across the country. I spoke with President Biden today and Governor Newsom earlier today, and they assured me of full federal and state support. As we head into tonight, we are still facing strong and erratic winds. In Palisades and in Sylmar, we are very much in an active firefight. I can report to you that the Woodley fire, however, in the Sepulveda Basin is under control. I can also report that finally air operations have resumed, and that is a big deal, but it is up to the winds as to how long the air support can continue. But these conditions are highly volatile. We've seen a devastating fire in the Pasadena area. Fires have sparked up in Simi Valley and on the LA and Ventura County line. And as our firefighters do battle on the front lines, all of us must be vigilant. So if you receive an evacuation order, please leave immediately. If you receive a warning, get ready. Protect yourself and protect each other. And don't divert firefighters from our strategy. Signals are out and the roads have debris. So stay off the roads unless you are evacuating or have another emergency. Be prepared, food, water, medicine, a bag packed and ready. Again, this is an active situation. And conserve water to the extent that you can. We want to make sure that we are ready if we need more water. But make no mistake, Los Angeles will rebuild stronger than ever. Right now, if you need help, Emergency information, resources, and shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL. Los Angeles, together is how we will get through this. Through the heroism of our firefighters, the vigilance of Angelenos, and the spirit of our city. This is a big moment. It is a big moment for all of us to come together, for Angelenos to be united, for Angelenos to be prepared to help each other. This is who we are. LA will rise, and make no mistake, I am confident that we will rebuild. And with that, I would like to introduce LA County Board of Supervisor Chair, Catherine Barger.
Thank you, Mayor, and I want to thank you for your leadership. I know when this first hit, we were in constant contact, so thank you for being a true leader to this great city of Los Angeles. Obviously, as someone who represents the 5th District, we are prone to wildfires, but nothing like what I witnessed today. The Eaton Canyon fire is ripping through a community like I have never seen. It is like a third world country out there. I would ask anyone listening, if you do not need to be in the area and you've been evacuated, please heed the evacuation warning. And if you don't live in the area, please stay away. I was shocked to see people walking around that don't live up there, that are just taking a look at what's going on. We have firefighter and first responders that are trying to do their job, and it's important for us to all support them and make sure that we provide space so that they can get it done. The county has lost many facilities. Our parks, our Eaton Canyon Nature Center, our senior center. I'm sure the sheriff will talk about the fact that we almost lost our sheriff's station, but it's been evacuated. We are going to rebuild. And when we met with the governor and the president, the resources and the promises have been made. And it's going to be our job to deliver. And I am confident, given the resiliency of this great county, working with all of our partners, we will rebuild. And to my friends out there that I have talked to today that have lost their homes up in Eaton Canyon, I am a phone call away, and you are not alone. And to those of you that have lost homes, please reach out for help. You are not alone. It's important for us to recognize that these people have lost everything. In many cases, their entire life savings. So as we move forward, we're going to make sure the Department of Mental Health has resources on the ground. But if you need someone to talk to, reach out. Reach out. Love thy neighbor. So with that, I would like to invite Supervisor Lindsay Horvath up, my colleague who represents the 3rd District, the Palisades Fire.
Thank you very much. Earlier today, I visited the Westwood Recreation Center, where I was able to listen, to grieve, and to be with evacuees in this time of crisis, to also thank the volunteers, but most importantly, to let each person know in this time of crisis that they're not alone. To everyone feeling the anguish of this tragedy, the county will be here for you no matter what as we recover from these fires. But we're not out of this yet, and we need to continue to follow all guidance from our emergency personnel. I want to thank you for evacuating, for letting our first responders do their job, and for keeping your loved ones safe. Here are the updates from the 3rd District. Since our last press conference, evacuation orders have expanded into Santa Monica to San Vicente, and evacuation warnings now include Montana to Wilshire, Ocean to 11th. Gas shutoffs are affecting more than 15,000 people in Malibu, from Brentwood Country Club to Pepperdine. A boil water advisory is now in effect for LA County Waterworks District 29. This is the Sunset Mesa community, from Topanga Beach and Coastline Drive on the south to Shore Heights Drive on the north and from Topanga Canyon Road to Carbon Canyon Road in Malibu, including communities of Big Rock and Carbon Mesa. For more information about water, you can call 800-675-4357. Barry J. Nydorf Juvenile Hall remains in an evacuation warning area. Should the warning become an order, the chief has developed a plan for safe evacuation. Our young people's safety remains my top priority. Today, we also received agreement from the President of the United States to approve a major disaster declaration, which will include individual assistance and public assistance programs. President Biden, we are so grateful. Additionally, our County Department of Mental Health is activated for mental health resources. You can call the helpline at 800-854-7771 for 24/7 support and mental health resources. We know this is a traumatic time. Please ask for help. The county has also invested additional funding into our 211 system to increase capacity. LASA has activated the Augmented Winter Shelter Program to provide shelter to our unhoused community during this time. LA County Assessor Jeffrey Prang has shared property tax installment deferral applications, misfortune calamity damage reassessment applications, and a disaster relief FAQ for property owners affected by the fires. You can go to assessor.lacounty.gov. The Emergency Network LA is coordinating volunteers. To sign up, go to enla.org. In addition, the American Red Cross and LA Food Bank have all set up specific donation websites that you can access at emergency.lacounty.gov. Downed trees and power lines are impacting public transit service, and I want to thank Chair of our Metro Board, Supervisor Janice Hahn, for her speed and waiving Metro fares on today because of station power outages. But please, if you are in a safe place and you don't need to travel, stay put and stay safe. For those evacuating, Uber is providing rides for free up to $40 to get to active shelters. This includes Pasadena Civic Auditorium, Westwood Recreation Center, El Camino Real Charter, Richie Valens Rec Center, and you can use the promo code WILDFIRE25. Tonight, the winds will remain strong, but our resolve is stronger. This emergency will continue. Let's keep each other safe, heed emergency instruction, and pray for the success of our frontline and first responders. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce LA City Fire Chief Kristen Crowley.
Good evening, everyone. As Southern California is continuing to endure some of the most historic fire conditions on record, extreme fire weather driven by strong and erratic winds and low humidity have ignited multiple fires across our region. The LAFD is fully committed to continuously monitoring and adapting to the evolving nature of this weather event and stands ready to respond to any additional incidents that may arise. Now, how did we prepare? We prepared in many, many ways, but I want to focus on two main things. We augmented our staffing levels and strategically pre-deployed our additional resources. In addition, we have recalled off-duty LAFD firefighters to augment our response across the entire city. I'll be providing a brief on a few of the incidents within the city. As we know, the Palisades fire continues to demand significant local, regional, state, and federal resources. Currently, the fire is over 15,800 acres and is growing, with 1,792 personnel who are currently assigned. And as we know, I want to be very, very clear that this incident is very, very dynamic as we speak. The good news, the winds have subsided a bit, enough to allow our fixed wing and rotor wing aircraft to provide critical air support to this fire. Next up is the Hearst Fire. The Hearst Fire has grown to over 700 acres with 260 personnel assigned to this specific incident. There are evacuation orders in place with multiple structures that are threatened. We continue to focus on fire and life safety. The Woodley incident. It is controlled and approximately has burned 30 acres. I want to clarify a little something before Chief Maroney comes up. The Eaton Fire, we are closely monitoring this specific fire. It is in the county, and we are absolutely paying very, very close attention to see how else we can assist. If it does come into the city, we are ready. Now, in addition to the large-scale brush fires, in the past 24 hours, the LEFD has responded to an additional 3,950 911 calls for service within the city. This also includes 10 structure fires. We have treated and transported an extensive number of medical emergencies throughout the city. Now, the LEFD also continues to assess and allocate resources to ensure timely and effective responses across the entire city. As the situation evolves, the LEFD remains steadfast in its mission, working closely with our local, state, and federal partners to mitigate the impacts of this unprecedented fire condition. Also, I want to talk about a few of the challenges and adaptations. Multiple incidents throughout this region. We are going to talk about all of these fires within Southern California. We're utilizing mutual aid partners from across the region, state, and adjoining states, and firefighters are surging into Southern California as we speak. Also, the challenges with water pressure in the Palisades. Standard firefighting adaptations for water. What we do when water is limited. We have the ability to pull water from ponds. We can pull water from pools. We're utilizing as many water tenders that we have, and we're working very, very closely with DWP on this. Next, we will continue to focus. I want to make very, very clear, saving lives first, evacuations, and rescues. We are not out of danger. You can see the active fires that are burning. With strong winds that are going to continue throughout the night, I can tell you and assure you that firefighters and first responders remain focused on protecting lives and property. We urge the public to help us by doing the following. Stay informed through trusted news and official updates. Be prepared to evacuate if you live near wildland areas. Follow all evacuation warnings and orders without delay. We also ask the public to stay off the roadways and away from any of the impacted areas. Now, the LEFD and other partners, we're working so closely together. We are absolutely united in our top priority, and that is saving lives. Ensuring that the safe evacuation and rescue of our residents in harm's way remains our absolute top priority and our focus during this wind-driven fire. Thank you, Mayor Bass, the elected leaders who are here, and for all and every single firefighter, first responder, boots on the ground that are doing the work. Together we can continue to protect our communities and keep everybody safe. Next, I'd like to go ahead and introduce the fire chief from Los Angeles County, which is Anthony Maroney.
So good evening. Thank you for the comprehensive update, Chief Crowley. My name is Anthony Maroney. I'm the County of Los Angeles Fire Chief, and I'm going to give an LA County update in addition to a Region 1 update. For the Eaton Fire in Los Angeles County, Altadena, Pasadena, and Sierra Madre, the LA County Fire Department continues to be in unified command with the U.S. Forest Service and the Pasadena and Sierra Madre Fire Departments, in addition to our law enforcement partners. The fire has been mapped this afternoon at 10,600 acres, and it is still growing. We have 0% containment. We have over 750 firefighting personnel assigned on the line, and mutual aid resources from out of state, including Arizona, have arrived to assist us with this firefight. Unfortunately, we have 5 reported civilian fatalities, a number of injuries, and over 1,000 structures damaged or destroyed. The cause of the fire is unknown and under active investigation by both the Los Angeles County Fire Department, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and the U.S. Forest Service arson investigators. And the moment we learn the cause of this fire, we will advise the media. We also have a new fire start in the Acton area of Los Angeles County, the Lydia Fire, estimated to be between 80 and 100 acres, 30% contained, and thankfully, forward progress has been stopped. As the Region 1 coordinator, I did request mutual aid from the 5 counties of Los Angeles, Orange County, Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties yesterday. Additionally, last night, I contacted the State Office of Emergency Services and requested 250 additional engine companies from Northern California, staffed with over 1,000 personnel. At this time, the state of California is exercising their emergency compacts with the western states of Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Oregon, and Washington for additional firefighting resources and personnel to come to Los Angeles County to assist us with this widespread fire emergency. One data point is that we have 60 units responding from Oregon, 45 units responding from Washington, 10 units responding from New Mexico, 15 units responding from Utah, and numerous units responding from Arizona. Currently, the National Weather Service has predicted that this red flag warning will remain in effect for Los Angeles County and much of Ventura County through Friday. Thank you, and I would now like to invite up to the podium Los Angeles Police Chief Jim McDonald.
Thank you very much, Chief. I just want to say a few things and not to repeat what's already been said any more than needs to be stressed, but a sincere thank you to everybody who's out there in the impacted area for your patience and your support, to our first responders and support departments who have been out there from the very beginning doing the very best they can to protect everybody. The word resilience was used, and that's what it's going to be. We're going to be an example of resilience in the very best sense of the word. We're going to bounce back from this, and it's going to be a challenging week ahead, but we're going to be able to get through it by working together. These have been unprecedented conditions, as you've heard over and over again, and the fire has been very unpredictable. That is why the need for vigilance is I can't stress enough how much we got to pay attention to our neighbors, to our own yards and property, and be able to catch something quickly if we get something sparking off. I think that is critical. This is not over, long from over. Our job primarily is to assist in a support capacity our fire partners with evacuation, with traffic control, and with crime suppression. And on the crime suppression front, you've heard also about the potential for looting, people going in and taking advantage of the worst possible circumstances to be able to enrich themselves. That will not be tolerated at all. And my ask is that everybody stay out of the impacted areas unless you live there, unless you have a real reason to be there. Our officers will be out there. They'll be watching for this, and we're taking this very, very seriously. So I want to thank you again for your work with us, to our media partners, for all that you've been able to do to get the message out there and keep people safe. It's now my honor to introduce Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you all for covering this very important story. So as I stand here before you with my partners around me, please know that I have several hundred LA County deputy sheriffs along with other police officers who are working all the impacted areas out there. They're involved in evacuations. They're involved in traffic control, ingress and egress into the area. They're involved in security. which the chief talked about, and I talked about it earlier. We're up to 3 arrests with looting. That is 100% unacceptable. I'm going to repeat it. If you do not belong in these areas, do not go there. We have additional people that we've brought in just to make sure that people's property are left alone. These people have gone through so much. Don't put them through more than they have to go through. And then we're on humanitarian missions. I have deputies dropping off food, blankets, and other things to people who have either been evacuated or who just need somebody to talk to and frankly just give a hug to. Those are the kind of things that we're doing out there. I do want to talk about evacuations. Regarding the Eaton fire, we have over 70,000 of our community members who have been impacted by either evacuation orders and or warnings. The Palisades fire, approximately 60,000 who have been impacted by evacuation orders or warnings. As I said earlier, we have called in additional resources, not only for what's in front of us, but looking around the corner, what's next. Both fire chiefs have made it very clear we are not out of danger. There's a lot of work to be done. For me, in my other role as mutual aid coordinator, just to give you an example, as we are not only calling in our resources, we check with other departments, both in the county and outside the county. And we've provided Pasadena Police Department with additional resources, one from the Long Beach Police Department in a mutual aid capacity, and from the Orange County Sheriff's Department. So I'd like to thank those 2 departments. And that's something we do in law enforcement. Santa Monica's asked for help last night, and we also coordinate in helping with that as well. Chief Maroney mentioned it. Unfortunately, we do have 5 fatalities. We're praying that number doesn't increase, but there's a lot of work to do. And we'll see what happens there. We are up to 3 looting arrests as we speak. And then the last thing I'd like to leave you with again is earlier I spoke about evacuation warnings, evacuation orders, and a lot of road closures that are taking place in both of these locations. I'm not going to go through them all, but I encourage our community members to go to lacounty.gov/emergency, where you will get updates on those orders, warnings, and road closures. And again, I am really proud of our community overall. Sometimes we talk about the looting and people who aren't listening. I'm going to tell you, 99% of the people are listening, and I think that's why hopefully the injuries and fatalities and all those ugly things will stay down. So thank you to our LA County residents for working with us in partnership. And now I'd like to introduce LADWP General Manager Janice Quiñones.
Thank you and good evening. I'm Janice Quiñones, CEO and Chief Engineer of LADWP. In preparation for the windstorm, LADWP activated its emergency preparation plans and filled all 114 available water reservoirs and storage facilities throughout the city, including the 3 1-million-gallon tanks in the Palisades area. We also fuel all our generators serving our pump stations to ensure water will flow out through the emergency. We're working very closely and side by side with LA Fire Department and CAL FIRE and the command post to manage the water supplies. I want to be very clear that the water continues to flow in the Palisades area through our main system. We haven't had any disruption into the water system, but because the winds were severely limited, the air operations, the number of fire hoses connected to the fire hydrants depleted our tanks in the area, specifically in higher elevations. We immediately implemented our contingency plans to provide water trucks to support our firefighters, and our crews are working on how to refill those tanks during this very moment. Conditions for our crew are very hazardous, so we ask for your patience. We have deployed 19 water tankers to continue to provide water to fire departments on the firefighting efforts. And our engineers continue to look at other options to connect our systems and fill those water tanks faster. We're also asking our customers on the west side to conserve water, to make sure that we have water available and ready as the winds and the dry conditions continue. And in the Palisade area, because of the fire conditions, there is a boil water notice in effect for SIC code 90272, and the area north of San Vicente Boulevard and to the south. It's not citywide. Again, it's 90272 SIC code. If you want more information about the boil notices, go to ladwp.com for details. In terms of the power restoration efforts, LADWP has requested mutual assistance from Pacific Gas and Electric, and we're also working very closely with Southern California Edison to support each other while we restore power as quickly and safely as possible. As of 5 p.m. today, we have restored power to over 133,000 customers, and we have about 123 customers still out of power. We have 50 customers that have been out of power for more than 18 hours, and we're prioritizing those outages. Based on our current conditions and for the safety of our crews, if your power is out, you should plan for at least 24 hours before our crews can respond to make repairs. If you see a wire down, call 911 or report that to LADWP. Our number is 1-800-DIAL-DWP. Some areas, specifically those in fire areas, will take longer because we got to get clearance from the fire department to come and make repairs. I want to thank PG&E again at Southern California Edison and the Metropolitan Water District for their support in this response. And now I want to introduce LAUSD Superintendent Alberto Carvalho.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, for your leadership. I also want to thank the leadership of the city and the county, particularly those who are leading brave men and women as frontline warriors, our first responders, in dealing with this unprecedented set of circumstances. My function here today is to thank those who are collaborating in this community effort. Number one, to thank our workforce who today courageously brought 70% of our student body back to schools. They depend on nutrition, education, and support. But I also want to make an announcement specific to tomorrow. We certainly were hoping that conditions would significantly improve, that winds would subside, that the number of active fires would decrease, not necessarily increase. There would be a degree of stabilization. Unfortunately, despite the heroic efforts of our frontline men and women, that is not the case. Unfortunately, as a result of the unpredictability of high winds, a number of simultaneous fires throughout the community, a number of clouds of smoke, dust have permeated into our communities, making conditions less than desirable and in some instances downright dangerous. Our first priority is to protect the well-being of our workforce and our students. That is exactly what we are duty-bound to do. So after ample consultation with leaders, after clear examination of the data available, and entering a second night of this crisis, it is prudent to announce that all schools across Los Angeles Unified will be closed tomorrow, effective immediately. That applies not only to K-12 centers, applies to early education centers, career and technical centers, as well as adult education centers. Obviously, beyond the bell activities and child care services will also be suspended. Considering the level of poverty and despair in our community, we are not only professionally but also morally responsible for providing some degree of sustenance, as we often do. Therefore, we are activating 8 different centers for the distribution of food through a grab-and-go process for students of Los Angeles Unified. That will begin early tomorrow morning. For information about school closures and the location of the grab-and-go locations, please visit www.lausd.org. You will also find resources of support for our workforce and our students. Tomorrow, we will be pivoting 100% of our students to a continuity of learning model with virtual resources available for all of them. Sometime around 4 p.m. tomorrow, we will make a decision after consultation with leaders, as well as a careful examination of the trends as we observe them about what Friday will be like. I want to close by once again thanking our parents for their resilience, our workforce for their courage, and the remarkable men and women of this community who are working as first responders in very, very difficult circumstances. I will add that, unfortunately, the unthinkable has happened. We've lost two schools, elementary schools, providing educational services to over 700 students in the Palisades area, have been completely destroyed. We're talking about Marquez Elementary and Palisades Elementary. 30% of Palisades High Charter School was destroyed. We were on site and could not believe what we were witnessing. We are prepared to relocate those students to provide a continuation of their educational services and restore normalcy to those families and those communities. Unas palabras en español. Me siento muy agradecido al liderazgo de nuestra alcaldesa, la señora Bass, y al liderazgo de la
All right, you've been
ciudad
listening
de Los
to
Ángeles.
Superintendent of Schools, Alberto Carvalho there. I think the most important information we got from him, one is that LAUSD, all schools will be closed tomorrow.